shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to fail. And remember you gave us your only begotten son, but we gave him the word of God. Send down your warriors with the hello. They carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil tries to me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this time is coming. I can see the high tide race. Without you there is no other. Could there be that we the myself? Upon the form against her, shall not prevail. No man that rise against her, that war they shall never win. Because I will conquer, no I will conquer. Yes I will conquer, conquer them. Shut up, come on, let's conquer. No I will conquer. Shut up, rise up and conquer, conquer them. Shut up, I am a champion. I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and P.T. Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Isle Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 WeiVybz Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here with you this morning. Of course, remember to share the live, like the live, get everybody involved in the conversation. All right. And remember, very early this morning, we're going to open the lines for you to call 440-7377 for local calls, 440-7377 if you are calling via or sending a message via WhatsApp, and of course 347-329-3101 if you are in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, you want to contribute to the conversation, you are free to do so. This morning in studio with me, by surprise, I have, don't look at me like that, I have none other than Mr. Bola Gusamola. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Ms. Duncan. Good morning to the listening public. I feel a sense of duty to spend a few minutes on air with you this morning, while I am hoping that we will keep our social distance. I'm looking at the distance. You probably need to go about a foot further.
I can't move further. I think it's you that need to go over some more.
Okay, I will.
But it's a pleasure having you here with me this morning. I know everybody is, feeling a kind of way about what's happening in the situation, and of course any information that we can provide, any support, any reassurance and comfort that we can provide, we are always happy to do so. I see somebody calling very, very early, but just give us a few minutes to get into the groove of it, and then we will definitely take your calls. I just want to give you a quick update. We are at 492,250 cases worldwide. Out of that, 22,180 have died, 119,732 have recovered. And our top cases, our top countries, I'll give you the top 5. China, while they are still, of course, dealing with very minor outbreaks, they have gone through the worst of it, basically. I don't want to add them to the top 5 because they are actually at a recovery stage, right? But we'll move on to the next one, which would be Italy, who is battling right now with 57,000 active cases. So they have had 74,000 cases in total, but they are dealing right now with 57,000 active cases. The U.S. currently has reported 68,905 cases, and they're currently dealing with 67,440 active cases. and a total of 1,037 deaths. And this is to date. And then we have Spain, who has reported 56,000 and is dealing with 45,000. And Germany, who has reported 40,000 and is dealing with 34. So that would give us, that's the top 4. Under that, we have Iran, who has reported 29,000 and is dealing with 16,000 cases. So the numbers are up there. They're up there, and it definitely does show that there has been a lot of community spread in these countries, you know, and I think that's, but I know that is what our government here is definitely trying their best to avoid, community transmission.
Well, you're so correct, Ms. Duncan, and that on that issue, we have said time and time again, I recall being on air with you, that government can only do so much. Ministry of Health can only do so much. Our health workers, our frontline people can only do so much. The police can only do so much. Immigration, ports authorities, airport authority, they can only do so much. The rest of it is left up to us as Grenadians.
Absolutely.
Every single one of us, individually and collectively, to ensure that the rest of the pattern is completed, that we do not start having community spread. So, of course, yes, we have our first laboratory tested confirmed case, which was since last Sunday. People continue to rumor, why there isn't more, that there are 5 more, there are 10 more. I don't know how they come about it. I don't know where the laboratories are. I don't know when they did the testing. But from what is official, it's 1 case so far. And it was an imported case. It was someone who came from the United Kingdom. And having said that, I just want to say to us, as we have been saying repeatedly, we need to be careful about the information that we spread, what we say about people, you know, where we say it and how we say it. So there's so much. Even this morning, there was a gentleman who called on the WeiFM program with Shaggy, talking about some man who lives wherever that he knows, always goes to funeral, and that man went to the funeral where the lady that is tested positive was in that funeral, and who know, maybe the man have it, so he's warning people to be careful with him. He didn't call a name, but he described where he lives and give a description of the man. So that means everyone in the community would know, you know. But here is what. While we need to be careful and we want to warn friends and neighbors and relatives and so that they must be cautious, that they must take the necessary precautions, they must follow the laid out protocols, we have to be careful. Because truth be known, the medical professionals has indicated quietly to whoever, and I have been able to get a bit of information that the lady in particular and the funeral in particular which you're talking about had never been to the funeral. The fact is she did migrate to Grenada from England with an intent to go to the funeral. But on the day of the funeral, as she indicated to the medical personnel, she started feeling so bad, so sick, that she could not make it to go to the funeral. Yes? So when you say to people, well, you know this man who likes to go to funeral, and he went to that funeral and he mingled with the woman who was in the funeral and she's tested positive. She wasn't even in the funeral. It was her plan to go to funeral. It was part of the reason she came to the country. So that's why we say verify the facts before we start spreading, because all we intend to do when we spread and give information that are not factual is to create more chaos, to create fear and panic, and probably even some people who may have underlying, as they say, symptoms before, who may have high blood pressure, a weak heart system, something, we may just scare them to the point where they too can just fall along and die. So it is for our benefit to verify and make sure the information that we're giving and what we're saying is truthful, factual, credible.
But also, Mr. Bowler, from what I understood, the individual, that same lady, not only did she not attend the funeral, but the fear, and she was so afraid, not because she had the virus and she was afraid that she would get sick as a result, you know. It is said from very reliable sources that the woman was afraid because of how people would look at her being the first
person.
case
Yes.
in Grenada.
Yes.
And it is also speculated that that was probably one of the leading reasons as to why she got so sick so quickly as a result of contracting the virus. But the added stress of not wanting to be, because the first case, because it was also said that she was also saying repeatedly, oh my, please don't let me be the first case in Grenada. Please don't let me have to be that person that is the first case.
Exactly. So.
I mean, that is, it's scary to know that you have the virus, but it's also more troubling that you are not even afraid of the virus. You are afraid of
The
Grenadians.
fact that you brought it to Grenada,
Oh,
she
my
was
goodness.
traumatized. She kept saying to the medical people when they visited her, when they came to swab and take the test, and so, please let it not be that. I do not want to be the person. I do not want to be the first person to bring it here. I really doesn't want to come to infect Grenada. So, and she did the wise thing. She did a smart thing, not to go to the funeral, isolate herself, get the medical people to come to her. So, unknowingly, people continue to spread rumors and say things that are totally untrue
Well, I want
about
to share.
the case. And
I want to share something with you, and I mean, we talked, and of course, it's my duty to report because, Mr. Bola, I have grown tired, to be honest, of these opposition forces who have nothing to offer Grenadians, and I say that with no regret. They have absolutely nothing to offer Grenadians. The most that they do is to go on public fora and try to discredit what the government is doing, and try to discredit what the government has done, and try to put false sense of fear in people's minds, and to warp Grenadians' minds with all kinds of lies and libels. And I'll call name. So yesterday, Claudette Joseph, as we know, who is the NDC's representative for Tongue of St. George, would have went...
No. I think you made a mistake. You need to stop, pull up, reverse, and start again. She is not the representative.
Candidate.
Right. She was the candidate for the NDC,
Right.
for the Tongue of
Of
St.
St. George.
Right. But she is the public relations officer.
Right.
for
And look
the
at that. That
NDC.
makes it even worse. The public relations officer, the person responsible for bringing information to the public, right, as the voice basically of the NDC, took to social media yesterday in all of her idleness and would have said that, and I want to quote it exactly, I don't know if I'll be able to find it, because I've since learned that she would have pulled down her statement. She would have pulled down her statement, Oh, she did, not would have. You're correct. She pulled her statement down. But, technology, we screenshotting everything these days, right?
Good.
So you can't hide. So she said that Grenada has one case. No, St. Vincent has moved from Dominica, has moved from one case to 7. And Grenada is still at 1. So she's questioning this. Now, after Grenadians would have been very upset, they've been very vocal about her choice of words, she further went to Ride Along last night, trying to justify her statement by saying this, that what she meant was Dominica has the capability to test, and that is why they can move from 1 case to 7, or identify the 7 cases, and Grenada doesn't have the capability to test, and she still does not understand why. Well, let me help her get some information, or to clear up her information, and to also clear up information for the Grenadian public. While Dominica has the ability to test, they cannot confirm for public circulation a case, even though they test in their laboratory for a case. They must then send another sample to CARFA in Trinidad, which is the source that Grenada also uses for testing. They must send that to CARFA in Trinidad to be confirmed before they can say we have additional testing. We have additional cases. Now, let me also clarify for her, in case she does not know, And then in that case, if she does not know, I would advise her that she seek information first before going on these public programs and make these kind of pronouncements and say, oh, well, I don't know. Find the information. It is there. It's available. Right? If she does not know, let me clarify for her that Dominica only has now the ability to test because after the hurricane, their laboratory was completely rebuilt and completely refurbished, coming equipped with a PCR testing machine. So let us be clear on that. While Jamaica, Barbados, Dominica, these places, they have the capability to test on island for these cases, they must still send a sample to CARFA for confirmation. So let us not try to make Grenadians feel like that we only have one confirmed case because we don't have the capabilities to test. Let us not make people believe that. That is untrue, that is misleading, and I am absolutely disappointed that the NDC's mouthpiece or that the NDC's voice has nothing better to do than to the mislead Grenadian public.
Well, I simply refer to those things as what I call intellectual fraud. You know, I may be misplaced with my terminology, but why do I say that? Because these are people with fairly good intellect, yes? And they have great understanding. And they can differentiate what makes sense from what doesn't, what is right from what is wrong. But because of the intellect, they entwine a little truth with so much lies and paste it out there to people who are less or have less intellectual capabilities than they have, so that they can have and woo people's mind.
Yeah.
This is not fair. This is not correct. Now, I understand the desperation in the opponents. I can understand the desperation from the standpoint of the NDC to get back into office. But as we have said time and time again, this is not the time. This is not the opportunity. This is not the cause for politicking.
Yeah.
You don't have to like NNP. And no one is asking you to do so. But if the government is doing what they're supposed to do, and as much as they can do with the resources that is available, and I mean only earlier on this week, towards the end of last week, early this week, we had a team from PAO.
Yes.
That was here.
Early this week.
Analyzing.
Of course.
Our state of readiness, what we have done, where we are. They were here sometime before, and they pointed out a few shortcomings in our preparation. And they were happy to report that whatever deficiencies were there before, now on this next visit, we have done what was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And the head of the team went as far as to say that he is pleased, or they are pleased, with our level of preparation, bearing in mind that there are countries with far more resources than Grenada, who are not even half prepared as Grenada is. I mean, take for example, there's something floating around on YouTube and so, with some guy from New York with a video talking about he came through and nobody tested his temperature and so forth. I mean, we're far advanced.
Yeah.
No one stands up in front of you with a little thermometer or some little device trying to check your temperature. As you walk through the room, the security cameras take your photo and your temperature is being read because everything is set up in one.
Yeah.
And then you have the health people sitting in a room where you can't see them, but they see you across the screen and they know what temperature reading you have. So, Sonny, find your information out, verify. So while you're trying to think and talking about don't listen to the government that they're telling lies to you because nobody tests his temperature. You didn't even know that your temperature was tested, son. You didn't even know. So stop. You know, people just spread and they say things. And sometimes I don't believe that people like the PRO from the NDC says because they don't know. I think they know. But they do it on purpose because they want to mislead.
Yeah.
And they want to give the impression that the government is not doing what they should. I mean, I heard a release that came from them. I heard it on the news that the first case, when it was confirmed, they said it was as a result of bad leadership by the
Oh,
government.
goodness.
Yeah. So what did the government do bad? They didn't explain that, but they said poor leadership, bad leadership. But I recall sitting in this very chair many, many weeks before we had our first case. And we keep saying to people, follow the protocol, listen. We keep repeating, wash your hands, stay away from large crowds, all the things, social distancing. We've been repeating because we said we do not know where, we do not know when. But based on what the science has shown, based on the patterns that we have seen before, there is a strong possibility that at any point in time there can be a case in Grenada.
Yeah.
Right? But we also said, hey, all those who are there making the noise and talking about leadership and weak leadership, leadership don't come with noise. We did say, and I did say, that it takes people of calm, people of maturity, people who can control their emotions and allow the intellect to lead during times of crisis. What are we seeing now? We are seeing a prime minister and a government that has taken charge, has wrestled with the problem, and is giving the instructions as time goes by and they uncover more and more information.
Yeah.
So all the loud noise, that is not leadership. Leadership is what you're seeing now. And Dr. Mitchell, we know you can take a bow at any time because you have been tried and tested time and time again. Almost every disaster that we had, Hurricane Ivan, Emily, the only disaster you didn't supervise over was the disaster of Hurricane NDC. But you supervised all the other natural disasters that we had. And Grenada and Grenadians came out better.
Absolutely.
As a result. So you've been tried, you have been tested, you have been proven to be the best among all who have attempted and tried before. Yes? And I continue to say, look, I can't say that NDC or any other political party may never win an election again. But they must come forward. They must let us know as Grenadians what is it they can do different or better. Yeah. Because as I know it and as I see it, the new National Party and Dr. Mitchell at the helm with the team around him is the best for leadership in Grenada at this time.
Absolutely. I want to take this call on the line. First call for the morning. Good morning, caller.
Hello?
Hi, good morning.
Yes, good morning, good morning. Yeah, Mr. Duncan. Mr. Duncan, I want to see, this government is on the ball.
Yeah.
Ball aid in informing the Ghanaian people concerning the virus. Alright, concerning the virus, because that's what we elect a government to do, to give right information and let them know what's going on in the country. I want to say, an NMP in government, we know how to handle the situation. Because we have a leader in Dr. Mitchell who knows how to solve problems, to create problems. I want to say to the Ghanaian people, negative things you cannot grow when you're speaking negative things. You can only grow when you're speaking positive things. Positive things, because if you add 4 and 4, you get 8. But when you subtract 4 and 4 from 4, you get 0. Alright? Well, and if the opposition continues to spread negative things, they will always remain the same. And I want to say the World Health Organization, the CAFA, they congratulate the government of the take in preparing the people of Greater Carriacou Pitimati on the coronavirus. I want to say to the detractors, the haters, when they swing bear in Grenada, you love the country, you should give people the right information to save the life, not to spread propaganda and to make people panic and bring fear upon people's life. Because the people around you hearing the false information that you're giving out, they could take it and panic and they could die. And if you love people, you go feed them with the right information. Feed them with information that they ought to prepare themselves from it. That's what you should do. All right, so Ms. Duncan, Mr. Bola, you all have a wonderful day. God bless you all.
You have a blessed day yourself.
All right, you too. Now, something that I want to address quickly, and it has to do with we've sat here and talked a lot about togetherness. Like we have to all be in this together. We have to be our brother's keeper and so on. And with the new limited state of emergencies, there are a lot of criteria that we need to follow in order for it to be successful. And we're going to go through what they are. But I want to appeal to the busmen. And this is particular. Yes, there is definitely a call on the line, and I'm going to answer it, but the person is just going to have to hold for just a moment. I want to appeal to the busmen. Now, based on the rules of social distancing, and of course now the rules of the statutory rules and orders, right? That these are the rules and the orders that govern this limited state of emergency. Now, you have to follow your social distancing rules. And there comes a time when we must put people before ourselves sometimes. You know?
People before profit.
Before profit. You know, and I've gotten reports from since very early this morning from a few people that some of the buses are still filling their buses to capacity. And not only is that happening, but some of the buses who are following the rules of the social distancing are charging individuals double the price. I am appealing to the general public. Report them. And I say this with no apology. Report them. Because you see, at the end of the day, this is being done for the benefit of all of us. You know, and when they don't follow the rules or when they take advantage of a situation, we are still the ones that suffer. It is your right to ensure that you are kept safe. They are expected to uphold the rules. Report them. You have a right to report them. You also have a right to not travel on their buses. Because I will not go and sit on a bus that fills itself to capacity. It will not happen. You know? So report them. They have to follow the rules.
Remember, you have a caller waiting.
It's ridiculous. We do have a caller on the line. You're correct. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, my dear Sister Duncan. How are you?
I'm good, Miss Jacob. How are you?
I'm there, and you have a wonderful brother, oh Lord of mercy. You could just imagine, but if he didn't have a security there, Lord of mercy, and he taking both of you and run away with you. Brother Bola, how you do see that?
I am very well, Miss Jacob. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to do and follow the laws as it's been prescribed, you know, staying within my quarters and, you know, doing what I'm supposed to do, and at the same time encouraging my friends and relatives and Grenadians
To do the right thing.
to do the right thing. Yes.
Right. I follow the rules too.
Yes.
And they come and fix my phone give up because my phone is out of service, right? And they come and they fix it for me yesterday. So everybody that couldn't get in touch with me, I had 14 people. I couldn't get in touch with them, you know.
Okay.
I couldn't get in touch with them. They couldn't get in touch with me. And I'm glad, especially Brother Cecil.
Yes.
Cecil Jacob, Pastor Cecil Jacob. I couldn't get in touch with me, brother. Almost going in a month now. My phone is out of another service. So I'm glad they come and they fix it for me today.
Thank God.
Yes.
Thank
So
God.
you call that now. It's cable and wireless.
Yes.
They link up with Flow, with them Lime.
Right.
And then they come and they link up with Flow Boy yesterday and give them joke and nearly kill the person that driving the wheel. While I make that fella laugh.
I
You
see.
see, Miss Jacob, I will tell you that off the scene. I ain't telling you that part on the air now. Because make him laugh too much.
We see.
Well, Miss Jacob, we're keeping all calls short this morning because there are a lot of people trying to get through on the lines.
Yes.
So you have a wonderful day, you and
You
brother.
too.
God bless
Thank
you all, and
you.
I love you all.
Thank you, and you take care of yourself. Remember, wash your hands regularly and stay away from
Every
crowd.
minute.
All right.
Love
Good.
you.
All
Take
right.
care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yes. Yes. So, as you've been saying, we need to think, and I can understand the fact that the bus owners, they're private buses, that they've got the installments to the banks. Most of them, they've got a family to take care of, and they have to look at what is economically viable for them to do.
But also, Mr. Bola, from what I understand, these buses have gotten a waiver from the bank. I think it's 3 months on their loan payments. But not only that, government has already agreed to provide financial support for these bus owners because they understand that this situation will negatively affect them and affect their finances.
Right.
You know, and some of them are going about saying that they don't know if the government is going to honor it. They don't know who to call. Well, for those of you listening, I want you to pass the message on. A secretariat has been formed or established to ensure that these matters can be attended to in one central area. Now, the information pertaining to the processes for accessing grants and support for payroll and income in particular, that will be available on Friday, tomorrow. All right? Now, the number to call, and I want you to listen, the number to call is 440-2731, extension 31217. Let me repeat that. 440-2731, extension 31217. The mobile number to call is 416-0097. They have even additionally added, they have also added an email address that is COVID as in Delta, ECONOMIC. So that's COVID Economic and Stimulus, STIMULUS @gmail.com. And we'll try to post this information on our page so that you can have access to it and that you are able to find out what's going on. So don't say you don't know. Call and find out. You know, and don't take advantage of the Grenadian public, especially in a time like this. I mean, it's very disappointing. You know, we have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Bola and Mr. Duncan.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, Mr. Bola, I want to ask you a question. Do you remember at any time in the history of Grenada when the press have been privileged like now?
I think it's the best time, the time when they have the most access, they have freedom. There's press briefing every week from the cabinet. They're free to ask what they want and write what they want. However, they need to be responsible. I don't think there was a time before this time when there was such freedom.
And even as it comes to the number of radio stations in the history of Grenada, it become the most now.
Yeah, I think from the last I heard, there could have been close to 30 licenses. I don't know if they all operate, but close to 30 licenses through the NTRC for people to have radio stations up.
Yeah, but what I'm sorry about, we have so much and been too much lunatics have been privileged to be on some of them.
Well, I mean, maybe that's the way you see it. I can't doubt you.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I've been privileged with that, okay, fine to say so, because, I mean, I've been upset with a lot of things I've been hearing on the radio station.
Yes.
When it pertains to the situation that faces the world right now. Not Grenada, the world. And last night I was privileged to listen to a lunatic, which once I've been privileged, I'll continue to say that because people like that, we can't treat them nice because they don't like Grenada and they don't like themselves. Encouraging busmen to think otherwise when it comes to passengers and the rules that is laid out right now pertaining to the situation that we faced. Busmen who complain and saying the 5 does not make a sense because they're not making money. And there is so many things we have to take into consideration when we're speaking about those things. It's not that they just put a situation for busmen to take 5 passengers without a reason. They know exactly what is going on around the world right about now and what is asked of each and every country to save lives. Mm-hmm. So you're only considering the $250 for your bag and you're considering the lives of the people in the country. Something has to be wrong with this kind of people, and
well, what they don't understand, though, caller, sorry to butt in like that, but as you make the point, what some of us don't understand, we're very myopic in our views. Yeah, for many of us, we can only see the distance from our head to our toes. We can't see down the line. And then they don't understand that if we start having community transfers, if you start continue to ram up the buses and you cause the virus to spread rapidly. Grenada is a small place. We can lose thousands of people in less than no time, which may bring a total lockdown, which will bring greater economic pressure. And the same money that you think you're trying to make now, you wouldn't have an opportunity to make it again, because when the place is on lockdown, nobody could go to work. The hospital is overwhelmed. The health system failed. Everything. And some people are looking for that. That's why they want the chaos. That's why some people are hoping. There are some people that are virtually hoping and praying that we could have far more cases, because it will create chaos.
Yeah.
And they think that's their route to political power. So, I mean, we have to think for some of them, and we have to explain to our people, those who still have their sanity and some sense, to understand that the rules and the regulations and what government is asking you to do and the health officials is asking you to do is for the benefit of each and every one of us. It's not to benefit NNP or benefit Dr. Mitchell or the ministers, because that's how people are trying to sell it out there to you. But it is for your own protection, to safeguard you and your family, and to ensure that Grenada as a country and its people continue to be safe and continue to thrive and survive.
Well, listen that, Mr. Bola. The first case that Grenada have encountered with came from London. And the very moment that was said, it is a case from London, everybody cried down the government.
Yes.
They should close the airport long before now. And why it takes so long to close it? And, expecting they go come down on the government.
Right.
Fine. This talk about some plane in Canada to come back to Grenada with Grenadian citizens was not allowed to come because the airport closed down and whatever the case might have been. Fine. If they can't come, they just can't come.
Yeah.
Some of them on the plane that have to come as the first time in 30 years, they come into Grenada. And them can have stories. So listen to me. They cried on the government for the individual that came from London. The airport should close a long time ago. But the one from Canada now, they just crying on the government for not caring about its people.
Yeah,
The government don't care about the people in Canada, and they want to come back home, and they close the airport without no notice. And they say they're closing today, and they're closing tomorrow, and they close it today, and a kind of a halaba story all about the place. And I think these people are to be too hypocrite, they're too bad mind, they're too wicked. And and they just speak about the revolution, and it's the best government they ever encountered. But sorry, it wasn't the revolution now. Sorry, wasn't the revolution in charge of this country right now, with that situation we're facing here now. To hear what would have been the word, people would have been privileged to go on radio and host a radio program and speak and say what they want, because in the reign of the revolution, that was never privileged.
No, it was not a privilege at all.
Today we have too much radio stations and too much, so much different people there on radio station who don't qualify to be on radio station. They're on radio station running them out, saying all kind of wrong things, misleading people, putting the country in a state of panic,
Yes.
It is not correct. It is not nice for our people. I mean, this sickness that is outside, it's not a cause that somebody could go to the hospital and get stitched and walk outside again, It's not something like that, It's a situation where we would have looked for each other, everybody looking for one another.
Yep.
But this situation, them guys put it as far as politics. Them guys politicize the sickness and hoping that I hear them on the radio program disappointed there is not more announcement of cases.
Well, how can you announce cases when
They're
you don't have
disappointed
it?
there is not more announcement of cases. Other countries reporting more cases than Grenada. Only one cent Sunday to know. We're only hearing one for Grenada. We just should be happy and glad about, and we should never hear one again. These people are supposed to be taking off these kind of programs on the radio. I mean, there is laws that's supposed to be able to go on these things on them and make sure this kind of people doesn't have a say in this country, because all what they're doing now, trying to create is just put the country in a state where perhaps everybody would have just, even though they would get infested, they would have just taken what going on and just fall on and dead, It's something that they want to create,
Yep. You're so right about that. You have your finger right on the ball. I mean, we're so liberal here in Grenada. In Russia, for example, the law is made quite clear, 15 days inside, don't come out, or else 5 years in prison,
Yeah.
Well, come on, I listen it and
just like that, nothing.
What have been said there last night, Mr. Bola, by the Prime Minister yesterday evening? I hear Grenadians cussing about it. They don't know what they're doing, and this and that, and getting on. only because of politics, you know.
Yes.
They forget their health, they
Yes.
forget themselves, they forget their family, they forget their friends and the neighbors, and because of politics, they want the situation to get worse, you know. And they don't care, like to me, they don't care who die, you know.
Well, no, I think they care because they don't want to die and they don't want any other family to die. But they hope, and like I've said time and time again on this program, even before we had our first case, that COVID-19 does not discriminate to them in their mind with the hatred that they have and the despair for Dr. Mitchell and the NNP. They're hoping and wishing that it will come, but only NNP supporters will get it. That is what they think, you know. But little do they know
Mr. Bola,
that COVID don't have color in his eyes. He hit anybody he catch in the way.
why that those guys would have put politics aside?
For a
Because
moment.
you jump high, you jump low. From 1974 to now, who know the history well, the best prime minister that Grenada ever come across is the Right Honorable Dr. Kit Mitchell. You hate him, you like him, you don't want to see him, you want to see him. Whatever you say, the world is there to prove.
And they recognize him as the best.
And the record is there to show. The best. And you could call what other prime minister name, because we had other governments already. The righteous ones and the honest ones and whatever. And Grenada didn't benefit nothing from none of them.
Yes.
So whatever name you want to call Dr. Mitchell right now, we don't have a problem. But Grenada is moving on and Grenada is going forward. Things is happening. All what we're praying for that this virus doesn't get far in Grenada. The people that love Grenada doesn't want it to get far. Those who hate and don't like nobody and even themselves want it to spread. You have a nice day, Mr. Bola.
You take care, man, and thank you for your contribution. I think you did an excellent analysis of what is happening, and it's good to hear it from people from the outside. Because sometimes we in here and we talk, but, you know, when people outside tell you, then you know they really have their eyes on it.
All right, we have two calls on the line. I'm trying to decide which one to take. Let's take this one from the overseas line. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Mr. Bola and Miss Duncan.
Good morning to you, sir.
Don't worry, I'm 6 feet away from Mr. Bola, so I'm good.
I wasn't worried about you. I was more worried about Miss Duncan.
Oh my God! I have this. I want to add something quickly to what this last caller said.
Yes.
Okay, so people been saying, "Oh, the government should have closed down the airport long," right? Was it not the same people who was asking for the government to bring back all its citizens from China?
Of course it was.
So then, okay, so they're coming from a hotspot where we have the outbreak. We're not sure if they have or not. So let's say it's 10, 15 people. That's not more people potentially coming in, which might be tested positive for the virus. I don't understand these people
No, we had
at all.
about 60 students in China. 60 to 66, I think. More than 15.
Okay. And yesterday, I had a conversation with somebody who made me get so sick. I mean, I don't even think that the pharmacy Walgreens has enough pills for my headache.
Oh Lord!
Because they were talking about they came in also from Trinidad, but there was no scanners and stuff. Well, I had to correct them on that. And then Grenada don't have any quarantine. I said, well, wait. I said, well, like, we're listening to two different things. We don't have no preparation to quarantine people. I mean, I know. Oh, well, you're in the States, so you don't know nothing. I'm in Grenada. Okay, so you're in Grenada, and I'm in the States, and I'm telling you. And I think that the government of Grenada has done very well. They have done very well. I mean, I'm proud of the government. And I don't know, I mean, sadly, we have one confirmed case, and let's hope it remains like that. We don't need any more. I mean, it's just one too many. But
One is too much.
why would people be wishing for us to have more cases? This is a death sentence they're asking for. It's not about. It's not about. I am supporting this party, so if it comes, it's impossible for me to get it. It doesn't work so.
Yeah.
Prince Charles is confirmed to have contracted the virus, and Prince Charles is a multi-billionaire.
Yes.
So this thing does not respect anyone.
He's royal.
It does not
as they
respect
say.
anyone, and that's it. And I think it's time that these people stop taking this thing and play politics with it. It's not Democrats or Republicans or NNP and NDC. This is everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. And that's why it's called a pandemic, eh? I don't even think
That's
you understand that. Pandemic means that no one is secure the world over. Everyone. Everyone is at risk.
Look, I was looking at a video of a principal that would have shut down her school. It was a private school. Before the governor would have declared a state of emergency.
Yes.
And she says she doesn't know how she got the thing. Maybe by pumping gas or whatever. You don't know. You go to pump gas, maybe you pick up the gas thing. Somebody would have used it before.
Yes.
Maybe she would have touched it and then touch her face or whatever. And then now she's recovering now, thank God.
Yes.
But
Good.
you don't know how the thing is. You don't know how the thing happens. We don't invite this thing. It will just come if we're not careful.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to be taking precautions.
Yeah.
But these people don't want to take precautions. All they want to do is NMP and NDC and this and that and all kind of foolishness. Calling for wolf now, and then when wolf come now, then you're running.
You know, bro.
But let's pray that wolfing come.
Thank you for that. We hope no more. But you know what? I think the government, they're handling and doing, and more than think. PAHO had an inspection team here earlier on this week, and they gave Grenada very, very high ratings for its state of preparedness, for its leadership, the people in the medical field for the way they have been functioning. And so they are the ones that has the marker. They are the ones that can determine whether you score high or you score low. And I listen to them, I hear what they say. And so for those who are running them out, but we are no scanner, and they come through the airport and nobody check them, little do they know. They don't even know they were checked. They don't even know that the temperature reading was taken. They don't even know that the PTO was snapped and it's stored there and that they can contact them if need be. Because, our system is high-tech. So, we continue to do what we have to do, and we just want to say thank God for those who are on the front line doing what they're doing to help prevent this spread and help our people from succumbing to the virus. And thank you for your contribution as well.
That's correct. So have a good day. Have a good day, Ms. Duncan.
You too. All right. And we have another call right on the line behind it. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan and Mr. Bowler. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Very well, sir.
Very, very, very good. I would like to say some words to the few people who are trying to be politicians or want to be politicians or want to be frontline politicians. And I think I hope our Grenadians really listen that these people have failed you before and they're trying to use every way to make a statement, to want to get some sort of attention.
Yes.
There is nothing. I mean, what they're saying, it isn't making any sense. And Mr. Bowler, you was a minister then.
Yes, sir.
You was a minister then under Emily and Ivan. Dr. Mitchell called out credit for it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
You did.
Then the downfall of the economic recessions that we had under the government, well, I don't want to make mention of it, is take Dr. Mitchell to pull you out of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Now we're under this. And why it is, I mean, I don't like to make political statements. I'm not a politician.
Mm-hmm.
But God gave him common sense. Dr. Mitchell is there. And we will survive from it by the protection of the Almighty. Yeah?
Yes.
Because only God could save us, nobody else.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nobody else. So the people who are jumping around making all kind of nasty politics statement, it doesn't make any sense. And I hope Grenadian people take the history and read it. I'm not a born Grenadian, so I'm living here 42 years now.
Yeah.
It is sad to say politicians like this have failed this nation. Grenada is so beautiful, Grenada is so nice. I don't know why these people want to get power. What the hell you getting, from power?
Well, you and I may not know. They know, but I think they have to use a different route.
You understand? The so-called PRO don't even have an arrow.
Boy, careful. I don't want.
It doesn't.
I don't want them to have to sue you later. Careful.
It pisses people off. If you're holding this kind of so far what they call a position. My God, you have to calm your nation.
Yeah.
This is
right.
God's time for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. We
If
agree
you're
with
not going to do any good at this time of this kind of problems,
Yeah.
what are you going to do when you are in charge anyway, anytime? Nothing.
That's true. Very true.
If you feel no, Mr. Bola,
Yes.
you feel straight across the board. I hope Grenada don't take a lesson by this.
Yeah.
And I hope
Certainly.
Mrs. Bernadine, and I respect her and I respect all the time.
Yeah.
Please, you know, do the best you can and let people don't say things because you don't know, we don't know. You may be the next leader, God knows when. But please, careful of this statement. This is a testing time from the Almighty Creator.
True.
Yeah?
True.
And after this is over, the health problem is over sooner or later, whenever in soon time. We have something that we have to face up with what they call the economic recession. We are going back there. I don't know,
Oh,
Mr.
yes.
Bola, you was a minister then. I mean, I know you could see
Well,
it.
I was going to say to you, it's not when the health situation is over.
Yeah.
While that health problem is there and that chaos is there, we always have to be thinking about that.
Yes.
Hence the reason the Prime Minister had to announce a stimulus package.
Thank you.
Something may...
Dominica is taking a page out of Grenada.
Okay.
Mia Motley, the Honorable Mia Motley of Barbados, has taken example out of Grenada as from who?
Dr. Mitchell, of course.
And you know what's funny, caller? The people are still comparing Barbados and Dominica's stimulus plan to Grenada and saying, oh, look at the allocation of funds and how it doesn't match. And you know what's funny? Dr. Mitchell has said in his own words that this is subject to change.
Of course.
It is a trial period. It is a period that it's an allocation that is befitting for now. And just as the health situation is fluid, so is the stimulus package. It must be tailored to suit the situation as it arises.
1979 era to 1983, Barbados Prime Minister was on the back of Grenada Prime Minister giving all what election, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Who is taking example out of Grenada? Who is taking example out of Grenada now? We should be proud. And we should be held proud.
Dr. Mitchell is the statesman in the region. Everybody
You
looks
understand?
towards him for guidance.
Of course.
Grenadian people need to wake up. This is a very serious time and take example out of this. You know, we don't praise man. We praise the Almighty God.
Yes.
But He's teaching us a lesson.
Yep.
And everybody, I don't know what I've said make sense to you, sir, Ms. Duncan. But I tell you, I have, from the time I come here as a kid, I've go through a lot of hard times. And we learn. We have been through everything. We have recovered and we will recover by the grace of God.
Certainly.
Absolutely.
I do like that note, which is a very good
Yeah.
note that you want
You
to end
understand?
on. We
But
will
I'm
recover.
not saying
by
we
the
have to
grace
put
of God.
trust in Dr. Keith, but we have to put trust in God.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he is a very brave person. And at times, many times in Grenada, only when somebody dead, they recognize them.
Yes.
No, don't do that. Recognize the gentleman as his life now, because when Doc is not there tomorrow, you have to talk to him with a dead person. Sorry, he's not listening to you. Give the man his credit now.
Even the
Accept
Bible
him
speaks
as the
about
leader,
that,
and he's doing A-OK. We doing just fine. Yeah?
Even the Bible speaks about that. He says that a king will have no honor
Yeah?
in his country. But, you know, those of us who know better, we understand. And we're not saying in any way that Dr. Mitchell is perfect.
No,
We're not
he's not,
saying...
nobody is perfect, sir. Nobody. I'm not perfect. You know, nobody is
Definitely,
perfect. I know
he's
what
human.
was there.
But he has been tried and tested. He has the metal, he has the mental capability to deal with tough times, chaotic times like
of
now.
course.
And he always
course.
comes out on top
Of course.
through the grace of God. So let's
You
continue to
must,
support
you
him.
must use a political measure and stick to measure everything.
Yes.
As a man, you know, because the economic part of it is going to be even for me, it's going to be more harsh.
Yes.
It is going to be more harsh, and I hope and pray to God that it will not be so. But we still have to prepare. Although Levy says we not welcome that way, but we have to prepare for the worst.
Yep. Hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst.
Of course.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much
Anyhow,
for your
God bless
contribution.
each and every one of you, and say hi to my friend Mickey Steele. I mean, I don't want to be in his shoes at this moment. He's doing a tremendous job.
Yeah.
He's my representative.
Okay, great, man. Thanks
all
for
the
letting out
best.
your
Have a
representative.
good day.
Thank you too. Have a
Talk to
good
you
day.
sometime.
He
Have a
indeed-
morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
He indeed is taking a lot of blows, unnecessarily so too. But I think he needs to be given some credit for the way in which he has been handling the situation, staying on top of the ball, being there with his frontline people, and seeing that things are done. So still.
Yeah, and very quickly I want to, because of course we're quickly running out of time and the lines are going crazy today. And those of you who haven't had an opportunity to call today, we are here tomorrow. Well, I'm here. I don't know if I could beg Mr. Bowler to come again, but you know, I'm I'm here, and you will have an opportunity to continue calling and continue contributing, because I know in a time like this, it's very good when you can be open and you can express yourself, and you have somewhere where you can call and, you know, relate what's going on with you. But I want to quickly just go through Section 5 of the statutory rules and orders for the limited emergency, state of emergency, and it reads closure of businesses and exceptions, right? Every non-essential establishment, and I'll explain to you what the essential workers are. So if you don't fall into that category, then of course, you know, you are a non-essential establishment or business shall remain closed except for the following: wholesale and retail grocery stores and commercial bakeries from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. The first 2 shopping hours, so that would be from 6 to 8, or if you open at 8 o'clock, from 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Those 2 shopping hours must be reserved for our senior citizens, disabled persons in society, and our essential workers. All right, so I want people to take this into consideration, because I know the lines are very long at some of those wholesale and retail grocery outlets. Please take into consideration, if you see them pulling somebody from the back of the line, don't get upset. They know what they're doing. It's reserved, those first 2 hours are reserved for senior citizens, disabled persons in society, and the essential workers. All right. Doctor's office, hospitals, and medical facilities, pharmacies, and medical supply establishments. And these are all businesses that have exceptions, right? Gas stations are open from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. So don't go after 5 o'clock hoping to meet a gas station open, all right? The information is available to you, so you move to suit, all right? Hardware stores are open from 6 a.m. also to 5 p.m. Hotels, excluding any spas, gyms, discotheques, restaurants. However, restaurants may offer takeaway, right, or room service. Banks, credit unions, money services, their business hours are from 8 to 2, but I've heard some of those financial institutions have tailored their time.
I think 9 to 1.
9 to 1, right? Additionally, there are commercial ports and related businesses from 6 to 5. That's 6 in the morning to 5 in the evening. And that is subject to any variation made by the Port Authority. Airports, of course, we know that airports are closed to commercial traffic. And I know a lot of people, when they saw airports, they say, well, how come this thing there? And they say they close the airports. Remember, our airports are open to cargo, meaning we are supposed to get medical supplies and so on. It's open to cargo, but commercial and private transportation, means of transportation on our ports of entry, that has been restricted. All right. It's open to commercial courier flights. All right. Drive-through.
What does that mean? Because you see, there's a lot of people don't understand.
Well, commercial courier track. Basically, what I explained before. So packages and these mail and so on. Break it down.
They're
Right.
bringing mails. They're bringing packages. No passengers.
Passengers. Yeah.
Right?
And we have to stress that.
No passengers. Because I hear people saying, oh, they said the airport closed, but they're sneaking in the people in small planes.
Oh, God.
No passengers. That's
Yes.
what they mean. So
and of course, there will be the the pilot, because somebody has to fly the plane. So if you
Yeah,
see a
it's
plane
not the
land
remote.
and people come off, there are people that actually work
On the plane. So, for
on the
example, the
plane.
cargo planes, there must be people
Yes.
to load and offload and
Yes.
so. But more importantly, the minister did say when the announcement was made that the airport will be closed, he said cargo, so medication, what have you, other things that we need, but from time to time, if need be, to bring in medical personnel.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have medical people that you need to bring into the country to assist with the situation, they will be allowed to come in. But of course, all of the arrangements are going to be made before, so it's not like somebody just hop a plane and come to Grenada. No. Our borders are closed and it's been put. But that is also very important, yeah? I don't know how much information has been given to the police, and I do believe, I'm not in government, but I do believe that there must have been
Communication.
good communication between ministries, between Ministry of Information, Ministry of Health, Ministry of National Security, and that the police is on top and on board and, above board with all that is happening, because they are the ones most likely than anyone else that would have the responsibility
to
enforce the rules that are being put in place. And I just want to appeal, as we're winding down because time is going,
Yeah.
I want to appeal to our Grenadian people, please. I mean, we didn't have to come to a state of emergency if all of us was obeying the protocols that was set down, keeping our social distances, not into groups, bars should be closed, But many of us started acting as though, well, that didn't mean anything. I mean, I've been seeing videos on Facebook and everything else where they said, keep your social distance, no large crowds, don't gather in crowds. And people are there playing mass or beating drums and having a good time and cases of drinks and making videos and sending out as if to say, well, look, we don't care what you say.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and do what we're doing. Now you have to move to a state of emergency. And this is limited. But you may come to a total close down, a total lockdown if we continue to behave as though we don't have understanding, we don't have the sense to know what it means to keep our distance.
Yeah. We have our last call on the line, and this is actually a very important call. Good morning, caller.
Mr. Bowler, good morning. Good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Good morning.
Hi. This is how it stands, as you folks know, the COVID-19. The U.S. has over $68,000, $100,000 cases.
Well, I wish.
Sorry. I said, I'm going to count money I have.
I know why you're doing that.
It's the thing. New York City alone has over 33,000 cases. Right?
It has been said that New York City may become like Wuhan, the epicenter for America.
Yes. And New Jersey is becoming the semi-epicenter because New Jersey now is the second largest state in the country. As of last night, midnight last night, this is where it stands as of last night. I don't know where it stands yet for this part of the day because I'm at work, so I didn't get a chance to check the numbers. The governor is speaking right now, and I'm going to pull the stats in a minute. As of last night, 13 people died within 24 hours in a hospital in Queens, Elmer's Hospital. All right? Duncan, I think I put a image of a line outside the hospital. Now, these are people that are waiting to be checked. They have symptoms. They're beyond symptomatic, right? They say there's a gentleman that works in a warehouse in New Jersey, been in that line since Sunday, and he went home yesterday, still not being checked.
Still not
He's
being
been
checked.
in that line since Sunday, right? He right now they think that he has pneumonia because he's been standing in the rain because it was having rain. We have like freezing rain at one point, and whatever the weather condition was over the past couple of days, he's been in it. He's been standing there. So as I said, as of yesterday, this morning, those are the standings along the line where we stand here in New York. Grenadians, thank God for the one case. And as the caller before said, we have a prime minister that God put there. He's there not because, yes, we Grenadian public might have voted him in, but there's a higher power have him there.
I agree.
Let's respect that.
I agree.
Have a good day, folks.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Duncan, I'll be in touch with you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And, we appreciate those kind of information because you know what? These are the things that must make our people understand that we are doing our best and we're doing extremely well. And we've said it before, if we don't do our part, the government alone cannot do it. Because think about the mighty U.S., a first world country, the best economy in the world. Yes? And you have people standing in line for 2 days and they can't get checked.
And all they want more than one
and
case.
we are wishing, some people in this country are wishing that we have more than one case. Yeah? How are we going to deal with it?
But
God forbid.
I want to say this last thing because we're running out of time really quick, that I want to put into people's mind this thought. And it's something that I've been thinking about as well. If we look at a pattern of the virus, how the virus moves, how the virus behaves, right? People are saying that there have been cases here since December. Now, if you sit and you think about that logically, that is absolutely impossible. Because in the way that the virus behaves, there must have been more people getting sick enough, even up till this point, to have needed medical attention and be detected. So even if we weren't looking at it in January, even if we weren't looking at it in February, persons must have been sick enough at this point. We can't hope that everybody in Grenada has such strong immune systems that everybody is going to be asymptomatic. But at the same time, we must be realistic that people would have been getting sick enough for us to identify more than one case. So we have to think about this thing logically. While you might want to believe that there are more cases, while you may want to believe that the government is hiding something, it just isn't logical.
But why would they want to believe that? So I don't know why you're telling me why they may want to believe. Why are there motors out there that wants them to believe that?
To believe that.
Because I don't know why I would want to believe the government is going to hide. This thing, world over, everyone has to report on whatever it is that is happening within the jurisdiction. So how can you hide? Where are you going to put it under your bed? What? So there's no hiding. Grenadians, please, I beg of you, my brothers and sisters, let us listen to voices of reason. Let us listen to the truth. Let us try to act based on what we are told. And the protocols are simple. They have been repeated 1,000 times. If you've been in or out, you wash your hands, you use hand sanitizer, you stay away from crowd. As a matter of fact, the emergency powers that exist now causes us to stay in-house.
Yeah. I know we are out of time, but I'm going to take this very, very last call. Good morning, caller. We're taking your very last call, but I'm asking that you keep it very short and straight to the point.
Miss Duncan, a pleasant morning to you and to Mr. Bull and to our
Good
listeners.
morning.
Morning to you. You almost out of time there.
Oh, I'm telling you, so I'm going to get through it. Now, Mr. Bull and Miss Duncan, history have taught us that good always overcome evil or evil intent. Generally speaking, our personal life experience would have also taught us that. So I know the chicken would come home to roost, not if, but when we get through this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you ask me how to deal with them, I will definitely have to consult my icon, Hassan Nasrallah. But let me rush to that. Mr. Bulal, Ms. Duncan, do you know other countries is adopting Grenada's strategy by taking some serious preemptive action to protect our people even when they did not see the need to? No, we understand why. Because the gravity of the situation is more evident now than before. Because we see the chaos that is taking place in countries that we normally look to for guidance, especially from a medical standpoint. So guys, we are in this situation together. The end product depends on us. So let us all do our part. You know, I know sometimes we might be a little bit close, but there are some basic protocols that you should follow. I know even this morning I traveled in the bus, and I know we was not adhering to the established standard. But I always say, still, we know the do's and the don'ts. When you get out, you should have your sanitizer. When you get in, you should have your sanitizer. When you get home after traveling, you should know exactly when you get home that you leave certain clothes in a certain location. So we know what we have to do. Our government has given us the confidence that they understand what is taking place and they understand the gravity of the situation. As I said, it is staring us in the face, brothers and sisters. Let us do our part to ensure that this thing does not escalate any more than it is in our neck of the woods. I thank you all for the time.
Thank you so much. I don't know that any one of us could have ended on a better note. We do hope that the listening public understands. And of course, friends, listen. It's about us. It's about Grenada. It's not about Dr. Mitchell and some people. It's not about this side and that side, this color against that color. It is COVID-19 coming to destroy Grenada. We must all stand up and fight for the defense of Grenada. Do what you have to do. Thank you. I'm off.
All right. And on that note, let me just announce that the Ministry of Health announces an emergency press conference that is about to happen at 12:30. So I'm asking that all persons interested in, well, I know everybody will be interested in hearing what the Ministry of Health has to say. Please log into or go onto the GIS website. And we will be hosting the program, or they will be hosting the press conference via Zoom. Also, we will be doing a live stream here from Hard Talk. So log into our page and listen to what has to be said, please. And listen with an open mind and active ears, all right? In whatever you guys say and whatever you guys do, be safe, be secure. We always want to be talking with you and never about you. Enjoy the remainder of your day.
You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
COVID-19 spreads from person to person are produced when someone coughs or sneezes, which makes it easy to spread between people in close contact. Now let's get prepared to stay healthy.
To reduce your chance of catching or spreading COVID-19, practice these simple everyday preventative measures. Droplets can also land on surfaces, so ensure that you wash your hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds or sing the happy birthday song twice. Avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth. If soap and water are not readily available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with an alcohol content between 60 and 90%. 70% is ideal.
When you cough or sneeze, cover your nose and mouth with a flexed elbow or a tissue. Dispose of the tissue immediately and then wash your hands. If you notice someone has a fever and cough or other symptoms of respiratory illness, avoid close contact when possible. Let's all do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. Our health is our collective responsibility.
At first, you might think it's a cold, and it could be, but COVID-19 could escalate. Here's what you need to know. According to the World Health Organization China Joint Mission on COVID-19, as of February 20th, 80% of laboratory-confirmed cases were mild to moderate, 14% were severe, and 6% were critical. Just to be clear, a mild case of COVID-19 is not like a mild cold. The symptoms will still be pretty severe. Anything less than needing oxygen puts you in this category. Severe cases do need supplemental oxygen, and critical ones are defined by respiratory or multi-organ failure. The symptoms, treatments, and timelines of having the disease vary, depending on which category patients fall into. So let's break down what having COVID-19 looks like day to day for each level of severity. It can take as few as 2 or as many as 14 days after being exposed to the novel coronavirus for the first symptom to develop. This is when it might feel like a cold or the common flu. Many patients develop fevers early on. The World Health Organization China Joint Mission saw that about 88% of people who had COVID-19 had a fever. Another study out of China showed that while only 44% of patients had a fever on admission to a hospital, 89% eventually developed one. But there have been some cases that led with gastrointestinal symptoms. Diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, and/or abdominal discomfort may appear a couple of days before respiratory symptoms. This isn't the norm, though, because COVID-19 is a respiratory disease. That means for most patients, the virus will start and end with the lungs. In the early days of infection, the virus invades lung cells. Specifically, this can damage the cilia, the hair-like projections that move around to keep airways clear of mucus and debris. When cells get infected, they die and shed off, adding to the debris and hindering your body's ability to keep stuff out of the lungs and trachea. The inflammation causes damage, and damage causes more inflammation, and this cycle could continue until there's no healthy tissue left. And inflammation might explain why a dry cough is one of the most common symptoms. Same goes for shortness of breath and phlegm production. Other symptoms that can appear around this time are fatigue, sore throat, headache, joint or muscle pain, chills, and a runny nose. By day 5, patients with pre-existing conditions might find that they have trouble breathing, and it usually takes about 7 days for a person to go to a hospital. Mild cases, though, usually clear up by this time. But those with moderate to critical cases will have developed pneumonia, which can range from non-life-threatening to severe. Recovery time for these patients could be anywhere from a few days to weeks. For some severe and critical cases, though, symptoms can escalate into acute respiratory distress syndrome. ARDS is an illness that happens when fluid builds up in the lungs. Inflammation triggers a flood of immune cells that are meant to target the infection. They're usually isolated to infected areas, but sometimes the body goes overboard, which is when the immune cells start killing anything in their path, including healthy cells. ARDS is often fatal. In critical cases, it can lead to respiratory failure, requiring advanced life support, and this is most likely when patients head to the ICU. ARDS treatment includes supplemental oxygen and mechanical ventilation. The goal is to get more oxygen into the bloodstream, since the lungs can't. When this treatment doesn't work, the lungs are basically too flooded to get any oxygen into your bloodstream. That's the cause of most COVID-19 deaths. And even when a patient survives this phase, they could be left with permanent lung damage. SARS punched holes in some infected people's lungs, giving them a honeycomb effect. And these lesions have been seen in people affected by the novel coronavirus too. Early studies found that most people who die of the disease will do so within 14 to 19 days. And on average, people who recover are released from the hospital after 2.5 weeks. But with the most critical cases, recovery could take months. Once a patient is in the recovery period, it's possible that they could still be contagious. These people should work with their doctors and public health officials to determine when they're no longer a risk. As of now, there is no vaccine for the virus, so the best way to avoid getting sick is to avoid being exposed. COVID-19 spreads easily from person to person through coughing and sneezing, so wash your hands often and avoid close contact with people who are sick, and clean and disinfect surfaces that you use daily. COVID-19 should be taken seriously, but most cases are survivable, so stay home, stay clean, and don't panic.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.